Okay, so now we're going to talk about using an empty number line. So an empty number line starts like this. You can do it with subtraction or addition, either way. Let's say we have 78 plus 42. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the first number, and that's going to be 78. And I am going to draw a number line that is empty, thus the empty number line. And what I'm going to do, you can think about this like a little cricket or a little grasshopper. That's how my students think about it. And we're going to hop down the number line. So if you notice, I'm going to add 42, and I'm going to do that by the value of the digits. So the 4 is worth 40. So if your students are ready for that, you can jump 40. Or if they're not quite ready for that, you can do it by individual units. So you can do 78 plus 10. That's going to give me 88 plus another 10. That's going to give me 98. And then I still have 2 more 10s to do. Now, sometimes your students will recognize, oh, well, look, I'm at 98. I can actually go ahead and add the 2, and that'll make 100. That's fine to do it that way as well. What you want your students to do is recognize when they can make a new unit, or if it is easier for them to just add the value of the digits, that's fine as well. But this can be done in many, many different ways. So now I have 2 more 10s that I have to add, and that gives me 120. Okay, I'm going to show you a different way to do this, and this is something that your higher level students may recognize. If you look and you're at 78, what I tell my students sometimes is let's try to make a new unit. And what I mean by that is, how can I get to the next 10, or how can I get to the next 100 to make it easier on myself? So I'm going to start at 78, and I know that if I have 8 1s, I can make my next 10. So if I'm at 78, I can actually hop 2. That's going to give me 80. And now all I have to do is add 40, or the value of the 4. So I know that if I add 20 to 80, that's going to get me to 100. And then I can add 20 more, and that's going to get me to 120. So, like I said, using an empty number line, there are many different ways for students to hop down the number line, and they should do it in the way that makes the most sense to them. This is using an empty number line with addition. It can also be done with subtraction, and it would be very much the same way. So let's say I have 78 minus 42. I'm still going to start with 78, but this time I'm going to be subtracting. So if I'm at 78, and oftentimes students will think, well, I know that I can subtract 8 and get to 60, which they could easily do that. Or they could say, well, I'm going to go ahead and take away the 10s. So you could take away a 10. So you would do your hop minus a 10. That would get me to 68. And I'm going to have to do 4 of these because I have a 4 in the 10s place of the number that I am going to subtract, And then 48, and then it's going to get me to 38, and then I have 2 1s that I have to subtract, because that's what it says in 42. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 2 of those, and that gives me the answer, 36. This is using an empty number line.